All right, everybody's very welcome along to the final Dadcast of season 3/4. Did we ever work out which it was? Is it season 3 or season 4?
I didn't even know we were doing seasons until you mentioned it earlier this season.
Well, if we call them seasons, it gives some semblance of a pretense even that it was planned that we take the breaks that we take, as opposed to it, just being laziness and ineptitude. So anyway,
so like a preordained structure.
Exactly. For one last time, all the dads are here. Nathan is here.
Hello.
Wow. Dave is here.
Hi guys.
Adrian's here.
Hey,
Nathan, are you a little bit shook? Did you go out on the piss with the Republic of Ireland women's national team last night?
No, they're professional athletes, so they hopped on the bus and went back home.
Where were they going?
No denial that he went down the piss, though.
There was no boozing from the players, though. I was talking to a few of them afterwards, and they would have loved a pint. I think it's fair to say when they were sitting through the show.
All right, I thought they were allowed to have pints. No.
No. I think they're training again today. They have a full round of some big media day. They're getting presented with the jerseys and their official numbers and all that, and then I think they're off at the weekend, so they can do what the hell they want then.
Expect them to cause mayhem.
Exactly.
So I brought my kids to the event in the Mansion House last night, and it was just really good. It was really good to remember what it's like to be totally excited to meet people who are famous, as opposed to it's just like, anyway, I came across like a dickhead there. I didn't mean to, but
when you met Nathan,
well, that was the exciting part of the evening. Two brief things. Henry McKean comes out and is about to take a picture of me, and the kids are no. He's like, oh yeah, fair point. I don't put my kids on social media either. Well, you're gonna put mine on. So he didn't. I don't know what people think of that, but I'm just not a huge fan of it. And then the other thing was Katie McCabe signed my middle child's football, and she slept at the football last night. That's how excited she was.
Wow.
Yeah,
Deadly.
it was like, and she was, because you remember it's kind of a slightly nerve-wracking thing to ask for your first autograph, to the point where her big sister wouldn't do it. She made her do it, and now regretted it immediately. Like, oh, it's all. So good life lesson there, I think.
They much prefer autographs still to photographs.
Who?
The kids.
Not all kids.
Well, they don't have phones, so
Yeah.
Well, that's a fair point.
My eldest is more of a photo guy. I brought him to see the Dublin Hurlers one night, and you can get onto the pitch at Parnell Park after the game, and it's the night they beat Galway in that epic in the sunshine on a Saturday evening 4 years ago, and he was just beside himself getting pictures with all the hurlers, and I had a pen and paper with me. He wasn't interested. I said, no, we need to get more pics. On the social media thing, Jared, it's an interesting one. I think that's just each to their own. I wouldn't judge people who do put a lot of pictures of their kids up on social media, but yeah, we've never done it and we never will. I just think, my own personal opinion, and obviously there'll be a lot of people that would disagree with it, but is that when they're old enough to decide whether they want pictures of themselves as children on the internet, let them decide at that point.
I mean, look, I think it's fair to assume that our kids are going to be of a generation where they put literally fucking everything up, and it's going to be like, oh my God, well, I can't believe you put that up. And we'll be like, oh, I should have. But the ship is sailing anyway.
You should have got out ahead of it and have had all the beautiful family photos up for everybody to see and go, oh, they're a lovely family, aren't they? They're very, very nice, normal family. And now your eldest will come out in 3 years' time and it'll be just absolute carnage in the background. I'd be like, fucking hell, yeah. What's going on there?
All the fakes. Oh, absolutely.
But they certainly won't want pictures of themselves when they're like 5 years old on the internet when they're in their teens and on whatever social media app is de rigueur at the time.
No, they won't. Well,
and I don't want them to turn around asking me, hey, whoa, why is there a picture of me in my swimming togs, aged 5, holding your hand on the internet? Take that down immediately. That's what I would expect to encounter.
Of me having a shit in our kitchen on the...
Literally in the kitchen.
But you're not concerned, Dave, about them turning around to you going, Dad, I was just listening to this podcast where you described in graphic detail all these things I did when I was 5 years of age.
Yeah, but there's no visual pictorial evidence of that.
Look, if people you currently know couldn't be arsed to listen to this, the chances of your kids being so dedicated to go back and listen, there's just not
10 years.
The attention span won't be there.
I adopt the same approach that I do to our approach to religion with social media pictures. We're not into it, but if down the line you're into it, you go for it.
You were
That's
mad into TikTok for a little while there, Adrian, where you were like every little thing was on TikTok. I mean, I
not
realize
at
you're
all.
trying to
I'm
see
still
how
mad
the
into
platform worked, but
No, I'm still mad into TikTok, and I do some of the TikTok filters with the kids. They love it, they turn themselves into a Disney character, whatever the case might be. But they never get posted. Like, I'd never put them up on social media.
you man posting yourself on TikTok. That's what I was saying.
Oh yeah, sure.
We're not into it.
Like,
Just a little bit, just I mean, occasionally just to get the numbers.
my my TikTok profile is not busy, Ger. I mean, I know you're trying to throw a shade in my direction there.
Well, this might get you a few more followers. You never know. I put them up on Instagram on like the limited one.
Oh yeah.
So only people you choose can
Oh
see
yeah,
it.
okay. Sorry, in fairness, I know loads of people who do that, and that I mean that actually I quite like that because then I can, that's kind of
Now,
keeping in touch with people.
Like if we put our kids up on Instagram, like are we gonna make some cash out of it? Like are we gonna be Father of the Year contenders and we can be sort of influencers and things like that?
I mean, you could be. That's it's. I think of what we're sacrificing for their privacy, the right to get a lot of mediocre products from brands we don't actually like.
Sounds like a fair trade to me.
Yeah.
How about these disgusting crisps? I do love those disgusting crisps.
Kids, this is what you get when you work in the media. We will literally do anything for a free pack of crisps.
Yeah, including selling your soul. We have a lot of correspondence this week. Will I get into it, or does anybody want to talk about anything else?
Please do.
The ball didn't get smudged, did it? That's the one watch out from
no, it was
actual
a Sharpie.
experience.
Sharpie.
Okay.
So we were well prepared. Had to buy a new football. 30 fucking quid for a new football.
And they're not great,
yeah.
new footballs. I was in a well-known sports shop recently, and I was about to buy, one of the kids wanted the new Premier League football, and fair play to the guy behind the counter, he was like, see that pile of footballs back there? They're all the ones that have been returned today. You're like,
all right.
Every time the new Premier League football comes out, it basically just deflates after about 3 goals. So there's a long list of returns. Yeah, they just and I have about 3 or 4 Premier League footballs out. That's no matter.
Is he stuck? Did we lose Nathan?
Properly so. But you're dead right to buy the football because twice in the last couple of weeks I've been out in Tala and with the kids, and Rovers had a sort of end of season, all the local clubs could bring their teams for free. They were playing UCD, so they obviously knew they weren't going to get a full house, but they actually packed out a stand with about 4,000 kids. It was the loudest match I've ever been at. And part of it was all the Rovers players would stay around afterwards and sign autographs. And my kids had nothing to get signed except their nice top that they were wearing, and thought, you know what, I'm just going to get that signed anyways. And I'm like, what? And then last Monday night, I was out there and we were walking out, and Stephen Kenny was walking out just in front of us, and was a lot of public support from the people for Stephen Kenny. And they were all gathering around. And one of the kids that was with us went up and got a shoe signed by Stephen Kenny.
One of your kids?
Not one of mine. One of the kids that was in my car, though, which meant, I'm the one who's responsible for his nice brand new Nike runners have just been signed by Stephen Kenny.
A young John Delaney going around with one shoe off.
Yeah. So the football was a good idea because the kids will just get anything signed.
Well, we were actually quite late because there was a big fight about who wouldn't get to wear the one proper up-to-date jersey we have. And anyway, we didn't last. There was an incredible story being told by Amber Barrett's dad about Creasla, and at that stage my youngest was basically falling over and looked like he was going to puke. So in the middle of this heart-rending moment of touching him, like, excuse me, sorry, I just have to leave, sorry, trying not to draw attention.
I missed that.
Well, that's good. I'm glad it didn't echo all the way up to the front of the screen. But a brilliant night, a great. Like, it's good when those things aren't all just the booze companies, because it's good to be able to bring the kids. Not that we don't love the booze companies, we really love the booze companies too. How about that?
Come to our next roadshow with this booze company.
Yeah,
where there'll be a lot of cursing.
Yeah. All right. Correspondence. Hi all. Long time listener here. Please don't share my name, particularly if reading the story at the end. I've threatened to email on numerous occasions on various topics, from vasectomies, currently 3 months post-op after our second arrived. Post-op makes it sound like.
But he has transitioned from being in a position to readily procreate to no longer being in said position.
Yeah. All right. To my absolute agreement with Dave's frustration on child parking spaces, but I said I'd definitely email as there was a struggle topic last week, not pointing any fingers at anyone, Nate. So, topics I think would be good to discuss, as it's a topic I would like to hear other points of view on. Hope they help. 1, child friendships. Backstory: my nephew, who's 10, came home from his first day of school last September and said his old best buddy told him he didn't want to be friends with him anymore and has a new friend now still. This has left my nephew feeling somewhat isolated. He has made a new buddy over the past year, but he was friends with the old pal for years before the summer holidays. What do you even do in a situation like that?
I wonder, does he still talk about the old pal? Like, what age did he say he was? Okay, like
10.
Kids go through friends like sweets. We were the same as kids. I wonder if he is still being affected by it. That he obviously felt a little isolated at the time. He's found himself a new pal, and obviously in school he had loads of pals or whatever sports or extracurricular activities he's involved in. He'll be going into secondary school in a couple of years. I wouldn't worry about it too much, but it just happens as childhood. People move classes, they move house, they move circumstances.
In this instance, that's not what happened. What happened is his old buddy is sitting at the same table or 2 tables over, and he's found a new friend, and you're not invited, and it's the humiliation is daily, hourly, second by second. You're looking over at them, and it's like, oh, that should be me.
Yeah, I don't know what you can do though. I mean, if you really feel there's a future in the friendship that you could try and manipulate yourself, speak to the other kid's parents and say, look, is there any chance that I could maybe put the 2 of them together for a play date, or just do a, was Sergio speaking about his wife and her interaction with McIlroy that was the catalyst for them mending bridges? So maybe somebody else can mediate in this situation and see if there's a future there.
Yeah, I think that's the option, isn't it? That's like 10 is a sort of strange age in that at that stage, and like 11 and 10-year-olds, so you see quite a bit of it. Like the friendships do get quite deep by then. Like it's not just like they've been in school together for 6 years. They're probably on the same sports teams. They're probably spending a lot of time together outside of school. I would say the best option is who is the former friend, if we call him that, hanging around with now. And can you get all of them in together to your house and suddenly make that group a little bit bigger? Obviously, if there's been a total breakdown and the kid in the middle has decided, I don't want to be friends with him anymore and I never want to talk to him again, he's telling his parents, I'm not going around to his house anymore, I'm done. Like, that's a difficult position. And then you probably have to get out in front of it and, again, organize play dates with other kids in the class and try and create a new little circle for him. But it is a incredibly difficult position. I think you hear about it a lot more with girls, it seems, at that age than boys. Boys generally tend to just sort of get on with things, whereas I think with the girls, it's probably a bit more, you're not in the gang anymore.
When you said, who is this new kid in the middle, I thought you were going to go to like, take the kid out, like start spreading rumors about the kid, that angle. But I think Dave's curve as an amazing parent continues to go from strength to strength. And the play date idea is an absolute perler, Dave. That's exactly the way to do it. You don't even need to address the issue with the other parents. Hey, just wondering if Billy Bob is available for a play date next week. Bum, 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 and away you go.
No, Billy Bob doesn't want to go, though. He said, we're finished. Stop contacting me. I'm going to get a restraining order.
Did he say that?
He did, yeah. He said he doesn't want to be friends with you anymore.
Yeah, that's why I take a little word with the Billy Bob's parents.
Maybe.
Like, just saying, look, my son misses your son. He loved playing with him. Any chance I could throw them together for a play date? And if she says, oh, look, he's actually just made it clear for whatever reason, like 10-year-olds should be treated like any other individual in these circumstances. It may be painful for our listener's son, but children are entitled to choose who their friends are as well.
Yeah,
just
there's
as
agency
adults
there.
are.
And the only other thing I'd say is you need to take it seriously. Like, the heartbreak they feel is real. Like, it's very
100%.
intense.
100%. And that's something you may have to manage from your side with your child. But that other kid's entitled to hang around with who he wants also.
It'll probably also come full circle at some point or another. Definitely my experience. You kind of flit from group to group for a while. You're like, it is hard when it's just one specific mate and there doesn't seem to be a bigger group of them, that would be a very natural thing that they'd still be in each other's company. That definitely is hard.
Yeah. You definitely
so
want
they-
them to have that ability though, to have more than one friend, because
Yeah.
there's a lot of eggs in that basket, and to Nathan's point, the basket does get broke. We had a situation where after creche, one of the kids' best mates went to a different school, and we heard about that kid for 2 years afterwards, almost every day. Like to the point where we were getting very concerned at one stage. It was like, is this ever gonna stop? Like, so they do make very, 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 very intense friendships from a very early stage. And like, it's not something that we wouldn't have thought it was that important, really. But actually, it kind of slowed down a lot of the other stuff, like, because if you've no civic mate school or at GA or at gymnastics or wherever, you're like, okay, it's time to start moving on here. But the heart wants what the heart wants,
And as much as like you could try and get that play date going with Billy Bob, why don't you also try and get play dates going with other kids? Like you can actually actively help the kid out of it as well.
Definitely, and encourage involvement in as many other friends groups that are completely distinct and that don't really have much crossover. So there's always an escape if one of them does turn on you, like is likely to happen in Irish society. So it's very very complex, as the kids would say. Secondly, on friendships, I have a 4-year-old in creche at the moment who's become very close with another boy from the town, and they have become inseparable. The problem is they beat the absolute crap out of each other and other kids when they're together. Even football, they spend the entire time rolling around. When you try to stop it, he says they're just having fun. I know there's other kids' parents, which doesn't help my worry that these two will more than likely end up going through all of school together. And I don't want my fella turning into a bully. Probably an overreaction, to be fair.
They're beating the shit out of each other as opposed to other kids.
He says they're doing it to other kids as well.
When they're together and other kids. Yeah.
That's not great.
That's the aspect that you'd be a little worried about. Now, I think kids do grow out of this kind of stuff as well, and boys love to wrestle. Like my two are, I'll head upstairs to get an item of clothing or something. I'm only out of the room 30 seconds. When I left the room, they were drawing. And when I arrived 30 seconds later, they're on the other side of the room, in a corner, on top of each other. And there's a full-scale wrestling match ongoing. And as soon as I go, lads, both of them will immediately turn around and go, we're only messing, we're only playing, it's fun, we're having fun, no one's going to get hurt. And as long as no one does get hurt, I'll just let them at it for, sometimes we go on for bloody 25 minutes.
Oh yeah, they're knackered after it, right?
Yeah, but as long as no one's throwing any dodgy digs or nasty elbows, I'm happy with it. But it's when there's a third party involved. Like, I've no problem with my two kids picking on each other, but I don't want them doing it to somebody else's child. And that's why I would understand that if this parent is a little bit worried about that aspect of it, because you don't want your child being the one that maybe doesn't get invited to parties or play dates or whatever gathering it might be, because he's perceived to be the rough one, or that he has upset other children to the point where they actually don't want to spend any time with him. Because not every child loves the rough and tumble as much as the other. You just have to be mindful of it.
Yeah. I don't think they're going to be bullies. You just need to be careful. Okay. Last one. Materialism in kids. As mentioned, my son is only 4 in creche, but it's already starting with shoes and jerseys in particular. If another boy has a jersey, he wants one. The latest being a basketball jersey. Likewise with shoes. One boy's shoes have 3 stripes. Adidas, but mine don't. How do I crush this early to stop it being a thing? Best of luck.
You can't.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. But you're just restricted to birthdays and Christmas and special occasions. So like my son or one of them will see some club has just launched their new jersey for next season. Oh, can I get that jersey? I'm like, absolutely, 100%. Put it on your list for your birthday. Now that list now has 87 items on it, but no problem. And that ends the conversation. Like, no problem. They put it on their list. They can move on. It's when you start just like every time you go somewhere, they end up coming home with something or a new kit or a new jersey.
Yeah,
that's when
anyway.
you're completely falling over them and leading them down a dark path where it becomes habitual and they just expect everything now.
I think as they get older, it gets easier around the big stuff to do that, to say, okay, hold on to your birthday, or save up your money and, you know, ask your grandparents when it's your birthday to get you that thing. As they get a bit older, they kind of want stuff every day. Like, you know, Tuesday's a special occasion, and it's not 50 quid. It's just something for like 6 quid. And then tomorrow it's something else for like a fiver. And the day after that, it's something brand new that some of the school has, and a new type of sweet or something that you only get in one shop. And I need to get that as well. And yeah, there's no patience for that. So that's the bit I find now as the two lads get a bit older. It's just a constant, the small stuff all of the time.
Gimme.
On the previous point, like, I don't know what has this person given any indication as to how they're currently dealing with the thumping and kicking the shit out of each other?
Oh. You're going back, are you?
Yeah.
That's how the show works. Yeah.
Well, you just hop around. It's we don't follow it. I was just
literally following you. Come on, anyway. Yeah. What was the question?
Did they give any indication as to how they're currently dealing with the scenario?
Yeah, they whatever I read out.
I don't think they said they were doing anything about it right now.
When you try to stop it, he says they're just having fun.
Yeah, like, I think that you have to. So I've seen like some of this go on, and I don't know if it doesn't seem quite as targeted as maybe our correspondent is saying in this one, like as in it's happening all the time. But I have seen it happen with kids, and I have seen the parents do nothing about it. And I have sat there in judgment and said, "I got a second. You've got to tell the kid that that's not the right thing to do. Like you do have to do that, and you have to." So like our 18, he's 18 months old, so obviously he's doing whatever the hell he wants to do at the minute. But that does involve punching people in the face regularly. So like, I'm not going to let that go on without him. He knows now, if he does it with me particularly, that he will get given out to, and he'll sit back and he'll sort of take stock for a second. That could end up in tears. It could end up in a smile. It could end up him just ignoring me and carrying on with life. But it does have to be taken on. Like, I don't think it's an option to just say, well, that'll work itself out. I do think take it on there and then. If that's not working, take it on later in the day away from the heat of battle. But like, I wouldn't be happy if that kid was thumping my kid and the parents were doing absolutely nothing about it.
No, and certainly we've seen that happen, and we're not happy when it happens. But you kind of, I can't understand it. Like, and so that's the bit where it's gone too far when it's not fun. These two are both willing participants and it's fun, but the bit where it's like, you know, it's gone too far.
Third parties getting involved.
Yeah,
I think as well you have to, you know, take ownership of your own kid there, because there might be a temptation if the two of them are at it and it's maybe your kid and somebody else's kid, and you're like, well, my kid's a good lad and your man's the ringleader in this, and sure, my lad's only doing it because he's there. Like, everyone looking in from the outside just thinks they're both little pricks.
Yeah.
Look, what it's like anything.
That's, as soon as you removing your child from it.
As soon as one participant in something is no longer enjoying it, the line has been crossed. So it doesn't matter whether it's a third party or it's one of the two kids involved, the two mates. As soon as someone's no longer having fun, it's the exact same with my two, and I'll keep a close eye on it. And I say, right, well, as soon as someone says no, stop, or that hurts, or I'm done.
Yeah.
The plug has to be pulled on it straight away. So, but it happened so regularly that I got to the point where I just said, okay, lads, and I'll go over to where this wrestling match is still going, and I'll say to them, I don't care whose fault it is if this ends in a fight. Both of you are being punished equally. Both of you will lose your screens for the evening. Doesn't matter what the circumstances are. You're both now, from this point on, willing participants in this wrestling match. This is the line. Both of you agreed to step over it. If the younger guy gets thumped and he comes over to me crying, doesn't matter. He gets punished just as much as the older guy. This is your chance to decide now. You don't want any part of this. Once you make your decision, make your own bed. And it generally works. They're gentle enough with each other that no one actually ends up getting hurt. Because they know if they do, and even then they won't come over to me. They'll just weep in the corner. It's what you want. Bottle it up.
At some point later, though, one of them will turn into Joker, and just like they'll be the ones who just want to watch the world burn. It's like, yeah, I don't care. Take my screens. Right, last one from this same email, which has been excellent so far. When we went to the hospital on our first, thinking it was time, we were initially sent home to the contractions were much closer. On the way home, my partner asked me to pick up takeaway to try the old hot curry brings on labor trick. What are the other rumors about that you can do to bring on labor?
Adrian's probably the best man to ask about that.
Well, if you were outside, Ger, if you were out and about.
Hey,
Adrian on the camping trips. I'm going camping this weekend.
Whoa. Is
Gotta
this become a euphemism for something?
No, I am going camping this weekend.
And have you got your plans all mapped out?
I am.
Well-
I am. That's what I heard. Go on.
Jeez. What the fuck?
Are you telling us that you're going to be trying a little bit of
no, I'm not.
outdoors?
I'm making it clear to the campsite I'm singing that there'll be no such shenanigans going on. This
inside or
I don't know what
Irish.
Adrian Barry's dogging spots are, but
Why did they ask
maybe
you
could
for
make a list.
confirmation of that before you arrived?
Well, I'd say after Adrian after the last podcast, every campsite is now wary of anyone from Dadcast appearing.
Let me go back to the email here. We got home 8, and then maybe 2 hours later, the contractions were much shorter, so we were back in. She'd opted for an epidural to help with the pain, so obviously couldn't feel anything. When we were mid-delivery, she started to ask if she'd done a number 2 while pushing, which was one of her bigger fears. Of course, I said, no, you're perfectly fine, which was the truth. Look at you sniggering laughing there, Nate. What bit triggered you there?
Just the fact she's asking him this, I'm wondering what his...
We'll never know. No, you're perfectly fine, which was the truth, to which she replied, I can smell it. Which got a laugh from the nurses, etc. But nope, no sign, all good, they assured her. Through the various pressure pushes in a 25-minute delivery, she continued to ask and mention the smell, to which every time we all assured her she hadn't. Finally, the baby arrived and the nurses and midwives left us to ourselves. She then asked again, did I really not do it? And I knew I had to tell her the truth to put her mind at ease. It was me. I was farting the whole way through the delivery after the curry, but didn't want to admit it to a room full of nurses and doctors. Needless to say, she didn't see that, but I thought it was hilarious. Keep up the great work. Great to have you back in the feed. Don't mention my name.
I don't think the room of nurses and doctors needed you to admit it openly for them to know that it was you that was persistently opening your lunch at the other end of the operation. They must have thought he was some right scumbag during the delivery of that child. As if their job as midwives and consultants and doctors wasn't difficult enough, but the father is in there beside the mother-to-be, like pumping and trumping throughout. Good God.
Oh, well, also, like, there's a lot of things that you probably end up nearly having to apologize for during the labor and your general uselessness. But, like, the stress that his partner was going through, thinking that this was happening. But actually,
and yet he continued
he's
to
the cause. Well, like he can't help it either.
Well, he can like have a little bit of restraint.
You can probably go out of the room for a minute.
Yeah. Well, if he's had the curry the night before, he could be in a spot of bother, like so.
No, it was on the way. It was in between. That was anyway. Okay. You were too busy thinking about the other thing. Hi, Jared. Just wondering, has any of the Dadcast shows been announced yet? Prospective dad here. I've been binging on the shows recently. That's from Christo sliding into our DM. Somebody else this morning on Off the Ball AM asking, is there any sign of a live show? When are we
have EP been in touch? Are we booked in yet?
Not with
no.
me.
We're not going to have to go begging, are we?
So I think
we didn't get EP last year.
I think we should do that small show in Dublin City Centre sometime in November. That be of interest to our users and listeners? Adrian's frozen there. Good timing. Dadcast at offtheball.com. And we had a link to register your interest, and we have a couple 100 people, so that's probably enough. Right. Hi, lads. First time caller, long time listener, etc. Emailing as the father of a 2- and 4-year-old who's trying to nail down a smooth, efficient bedtime process. At the minute, we get the bedtime routine rolling at around 6:30. Bowl of cereal / snack up the stairs, then for a bath if they're having one. Jammies, teeth. First book in the 2-year-old's room with the 4-year-old there. Then he gets put in the cot after a glass of milk, followed by book in the 4-year-old's room, milk and bed. Writing, it appears efficient, but each step is a battle. Racing around with them holding jammies, making empty threats about there not being a book if you don't do X, Y, or Z in the next minute. And generally working through their stalling tactics. Thirst, toilet, bad dreams, general streams of thought, teddy change needed, etc., etc. Typically drags on till 7:30 or 8. It seems like a foolishly long process. Part of me can guess the advice, solid routine, firm boundaries, etc. But I'm eager to hear any suggestions and would also just appreciate general stories about how bad your kids are at going to bed. to reassure me that my lads are not awful children and we aren't awful parents. Love the pod and all the off the ball stuff, but prefer if my name wasn't read out in the show. Thanks a mil.
Michael.
John.
I should just make up names for those now.
Well,
yeah, but you'd get confused and give the real name.
Adrian and Nathan still have quite young children, so do you want to take that up?
Yeah, we've been going through a bad spell with the youngest. Though the reward chart of the last few weeks has certainly improved things. So she used to be great for going to bed for a while, and then decided that she was scared. Somebody has to stay upstairs. If anyone goes downstairs, she's running downstairs 50 times a night. She's going to bed at 8:15, and at 10 o'clock, she's still awake, running downstairs. And it was driving everyone demented to the stage of whoever was staying upstairs was probably just going to bed at 9 o'clock. Because, it was the only way of keeping her in bed. But the teacher's reward chart seems to be doing a bit of business. Like the, get your 5 stars, you get a little treat at the end of the week. It's definitely improving things. And she seems a bit more comfortable now staying up there by herself. But again, like it's a phase. She'll get out of it, but then she'll enter some other phase, I'm sure.
Well, the stalling tactics don't change. They still happen. Can I get a drink? Can I get a second story? Can you sing me a song? Can I get an extra teddy? Can I change my PJs? My duvet's
2 more
too
minutes.
heavy. Can I have
2
a
more
sheet?
minutes.
2 more minutes. And on and on and on it goes. But to our listener, the older they get, the better they get, because they're wrecked and they just want to go to sleep at some point. It sounds to me like he's got it down, really. I think he's been a bit harsh on himself. He seems to have the routine in place. For him to start the bedtime process at 6:30 with a snack while they're still downstairs, and for it to generally be wrapped up by 7:30 is pretty good going.
Yeah. I think they're doing really good stuff there. It's just about trying to cut the gaps between. It's like you try anything new and you're shit at it for a couple of months, and then like 3 months in, all of a sudden it's an hour instead of 2.5 hours, and you're getting back down before 8 o'clock, and you get that part of the evening to yourselves, and you feel like, oh, we are the best parents in the world. The one piece of advice: don't get drunk on a Friday night and have another baby. Get the snip. That's the two is the magic number.
Sarah's closing argument.
Yeah,
we've you were camping, Jared. Is that what you were saying? You went camping and things get out of hand.
No. Just we thought that we at one stage I was like, oh, we should have had a fourth. Like that was like vaguely in my thinking, and I'm like, well, if you just tap yourself on the shoulder and go, just get the snip straight away. Like third bun in the oven, snip.
Yeah, it's enough. Our youngest one is in a great routine, sort of comes up, plays around with the other two for a little bit, takes the bottle, lying down in our bed, and conks out by and large, unless they've had too much sleep that day. And with the elder two, we just sort of leave them. We were in the habit of doing that thing that Nathan's describing there, where you go up and you end up sort of in the bed with one of them, and we're certainly having some of that scared stuff now, which is a complicating factor that is becoming an increasing factor. And obviously then you kind of respond to it more, I guess, the desired reaction, and then it's the rolling ball. But we have sort of devolved responsibility to the elder two about going to bed to themselves. So put on their PJs downstairs, brush your teeth, up you go now, and you can play around for 10, 15 minutes, half an hour, depending on what time it is. Do whatever you want. Any shouting or roaring, you'll be requested to go into your chamber, individual chambers, immediately. Otherwise, play away for that length of time. And it has some good success. They're much more collegiate because they feel as if they're kind of getting away with something than they would normally be, where they're kind of tearing their heads off each other. And it's generally, by and large, working. Like, we're not in the middle of it where at all possible. So that's an slightly added benefit. And it's kind of working out. But like we say about everything, it'll work for now. And then in 3 or 4 months' time, some other shit will come into the picture and we'll have to tweak it up.
That's really good though. You're like getting the independence bit done, and they're thinking about it themselves. Like, we definitely are back in a situation where everybody's staying up too late, like way too late. They're reading into like the youngest was still reading the other night at 10:30, and has been brain dead ever since the whole week because of it. So you just want to try and embed the best possible patterns and make them love their bed and make them like comfortable and feel safe there. And if you got to get one of those night lights that is like the one that, whatever you can do to get them into that routine, I think they're doing great work there.
It's the time of year though that everything's getting out of hand. Like it's just so easy when you're watching something to go, look, their last week of school, they'll be grand. They've no homework to do after school tomorrow. They'll be grand. It's still bright out. They'll be grand. They're only reading. They'll be grand. Routines go out the window now for the next 8 weeks, summer holidays and all that. I'm not of a mind to be overly strict or stringent now when we get to this time of year.
And try not to lose the small one-off stuff, I find as well, like, because there is a temptation where they've broken from the routine for a night and you're so adamant that, this, come hell or high water, this routine's got to be the routine. Like, give yourself a break for a night or two. Obviously by the third night, lose your shit and come out with them.
Yeah. That's that's good advice for basically everything. Try to give them a fucking break. Like, they're only kids. He says about to go on holidays with them all, hoping that like the previous experiences are not future indicators of performance. I know Dave has to go here, but I've got one last message. Hello, Ger and Co. Ger, I was going to say hello to you on Grafton Street last night, but said I'd leave it off as you looked under pressure with all the kids in head-to-toe Irish gear and no doubt in support of the girls in green. That was exactly where we were going, Dave. Thanks for that. First-time parents, fingers crossed, all going well. Incoming in September. Best of luck. What equipment would you and the dads deem necessary or unnecessary in acquiring before the new arrival comes? Love the podcast. Keep up the good work. The thermometer, the digital thermometer, that's absolute must. If anybody is asking for you, or if they can buy you something, get that. You do not need, unless you want to look like hipster dads, one of the expensive baby borns. They're like complete waste of money. I'd say you use it once or twice. They're kind of uncomfortable. You do look amazing.
Is that the Carrier?
You do feel like, yeah.
Yeah, we bought one, never used it, not once.
I used it for 2 or 3 times, and I mean, I don't know, but you do like, look at me, I'm a father, I have a baby, I'm amazing, look at me. Yes, Dad, won't you also look at me because I'm a father, I have a baby, and my baby born. Look at me, I have a baby. Oh, this baby, but like fucking, you like, was it, which one was crying and which one was crying? Was the body, and what was the little thing in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Just over everybody's heads.
I remember. Crying was the little.
The brain in the actual body.
Yeah. I see some dads wear it all the time. Joe Lloyd of Off the Ball fame is a new dad, and I often see him out around his area. Yeah, and he looks.
Who's that?
Joe looks very happy. Yeah, I've often seen him pounding the streets of Colester, and he looks happy, and the baby looks happy, and everyone's winning there. So it each to their own. I just couldn't have been bothered. I found the whole rigmarole of getting the baby into it, and I was very worried the baby was going to fall out of it and get the strapping right, and particularly on my own if I didn't have someone to like zip me up at the back kind of thing. I just was like, nah, Buggy will do.
You're making it seem like I was calling out Joe there, Dave, but I definitely wasn't. I have not seen him at all.
We got loads of use out of ours, by the way. Loads of use. Like,
did you? Okay.
Yeah. Honestly,
we got quite a bit of use out of ours as well. I had the same issue with Dave in that it will be incredibly handy when you're by yourself, because as you dad, baby, but I also have 2 hands that can do other stuff as well. And look at me doing all these things. That constantly of, all right, I put this on myself. Have I attached? Yeah, I'm basically doing a bungee jump here and attaching all the stuff, but it's the child who's going to fall out. But I think it probably depends on your life situation and where you're going to be going and how you're going to be doing things. That if you get into the habit of using it, it's pretty easy to use.
What else does he need? He obviously needs to change
bottle warmer.
The electric one if possible.
Yeah.
To sterilize it. We didn't have that until we had our second kid, I think. Absolute game changer. Just has everything done in no time at all. Changing station, obviously, which is great, where you can just keep all the different bits and bobs in the same place. One of those.
Don't get anything that's going to alert you in the middle of the night that your child might be dead because it hasn't moved in 2 minutes.
Oh no! Absolutely, the monitor, like a normal monitor,
do not
but
get
not one that's like
Oh yeah, obviously a monitor.
Get a video monitor and keep it until the kid is about 10 or 11. That we learned.
Somebody did have one of those, wasn't there? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Don't overload yourself with shite. Like,
No.
see what you
You
need,
need-
see what you go. If you can borrow some stuff, if you're thinking about making an investment and you know somebody who has something and you can borrow it for a few days, give it a go, see if you use it.
Buy secondhand shit as much as you possibly
Yeah.
can.
Loads of
Whatever you
stuff on
can't.
adverts and Done Deal and all those places.
Yeah. And also when people ask you, oh, can we help anything? Like, yeah, baby grows for like 6-month-olds because like you'll need them quicker than you actually think. Just a reminder for everybody, by the way, we're very grateful for this. Dadcast is in partnership with Nivea Men. Want to feel great in your skin? Nivea Men has you covered from sensitive, tailored skincare to cleansing and anti-age. Try Ireland's #1 men's skincare brand. We wouldn't have had this season if it hadn't been for Nivea Men. So it's been totes of mosh getting the band back together. We might do this
Blast.
again.
Maybe.
Let's see.
Whoa.
Let's
That-
be non-committal. We don't want to make promises.
Dadcast at offtheball.com. Oh, we should do the live show. So me.
We should do EP again. Come on, EP.
Well, we could probably sort out electric picnic, but we should do our own live show, right?
At least with our own live show, everybody who is there has actually come of their own
They're on
volition,
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah.
As opposed to.
just happening to be there.
Yeah. All right. All right. We shall leave it there. It's been, as I said, emotional. Dadcast at offtheball.com. See you next year, next season, whatever. Bye.